Good morning. You're listening to the Powerhouse Effect. I'm Amy Gregory, one of eXp Realty's top recruiters and the founder of Powerhouse, a national organization of over 800 agents built specifically for the solo female agent who is done leaving money on the table. Every episode, you're going to hear from a real woman, a real agent who made the leap and never looked back. Today's guest went from 4 million in production to 12 million in production in a single year after joining Powerhouse. Here is her story. Today we have Sarah Wagner on the phone. And Sarah, your story is wild. It is one of my favorite stories inside of Powerhouse. And so I want to know, first of all, tell everyone where you're located, how long you've been licensed, and how you heard about Powerhouse in the first place.
Okay, so I am in Santa Cruz, California. So we are like, if you think about California, like right in the middle on the ocean. Um, we have a tiny little county here where there's a lot of residential, but it's mostly second home because we are a vacation spot. I have been licensed since 2022. I got licensed when my oldest was 8 months old. She's now 4.5. Um, and when I first got licensed, I was with like a local brick and mortar, as one does. And I knew that there had to be something different because I could not go into the office all the time. And so I was like wandering around on Instagram. And I don't know how, I feel like I found Powerhouse through somebody that's no longer part of Powerhouse and, just like
Yeah.
randomly. Um, and it took a year to move because I was actually on a team.
Yeah.
And but we finally did it. She wanted to close my teammate wanted to close some transactions. And then we finally did it in August of 24.
Okay, and what happened to your business like after you joined Powerhouse? Because you said a lot right in that little snippet. One,
Yes.
you're doing this with an 8-month-old, and
Yeah.
I will die on the hill that one of my hardest years in real estate was when my youngest, the first year of his, like he was like that first year is brutal.
It's a
So like
lot.
you don't have a consistent schedule. They're not sleeping through the night. Their nap schedule is changing. You're trying to juggle like transactions on not very
Mhm.
much sleep. It's a wild ride.
It is. It's wild. And she came to all of my open houses. She was just like strapped to my chest. And it was a good icebreaker because I was new. And I'm like, let me sell you this house, but look at my cute baby. And so it was a really like great icebreaker for people coming in. I think it made people feel more comfortable with me too, which was kind of fun. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about you were on a team, you were at 4 million in production, you moved to Powerhouse, and you start doing 12 million in production. Like,
Yeah.
what changed?
Um, First of all, mindset. Um, I realized I could do it. And I think it's about being in a room with other people who are doing the same thing that you want. We're the sum of the five people we spend the most time around. So why aren't we spending time around people whose businesses we want to emulate? Right. Um, and so that's what I did. Um, I think I had this innate fear too, a little bit, like before I joined, because I was on a team and my team lead, she's been in the business for like 20 years,
Yeah.
and she's the goat. Like you name drop her in our county and everybody's like, she's mentoring you, right? So like I think I had this like weird shadow that I was kind of under too, because I felt like, well, I can never be as good as her,
Yeah.
but also she's 22 years into the business. Like, of course she's getting leads, of course, so it's just a mindset shift more than anything, I think. And then when I joined Powerhouse, I'm like watching all these women succeed and do well. And I just put my blinders on. I stopped caring about what other people thought about me. I think that's at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Which it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So, one, I love that you were mentored by an agent that had been in the business 20 plus years because that's invaluable. They do know transactions. They've seen a lot. But a 20-year veteran is different than a brand new agent because to your point, their reputation typically is such that the deals just are coming. Like that's something that happens inside of real estate. Once you've been in about 5 years, you start getting repeat clients. You start, you kind
Right.
of really get this momentum. But when you're brand new, were there rules on your team? I don't know the answer to this question, but in some brokerages, like they won't let you be a listing agent until you've been licensed a year or two. Was that how it was where you were at?
No, actually, because she and I had like our own agreement that she then went to bat for the brokerage at, which was helpful. Um, because the broker knew that she was a catch, if that makes sense. So like she could get what she wanted done. Um,
Yeah.
but what did hurt me a lot was my splits.
Yeah.
Um, my first 2 years, I gave up over 50% of my commission. And on $4 million, like that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that you're giving up, you know?
Well,
Um,
it's the difference because 4 million, let's say you do 4 million at 3%, that's $120,000. And if you're giving up half of that, you go from making six figures to making 60,000.
Well, and then I have to pay taxes.
Yeah. And people don't realize that
Right.
like when you're self-employed, like you don't have an employer shoulder
No.
part of that tax.
No, sure don't. Sure don't. Um, and
You've been bringing
to
home what, like 40 something thousand at that?
sorry.
You were probably bringing home what, 40 something thousand?
Yeah, yeah. And to add the cherry on top, Santa Cruz County is I think still the most expensive county to live in the country. Like
I know.
our median price point for homes is 1.3. Our rental, like I'm renting out one of my houses that's a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom that's 736 square feet for $3,000 a month. Like, and people are like chomping at the bit for that. Okay, so when you bring in 40K, you're like, I'm in a box under the bridge. Like, you know?
No, totally. Well, and we do this a lot in Powerhouse where we start running kind of averages and statistics because I think a lot of women, what happens is they come into real estate almost as like a side hustle in that like, and this was my story. I thought, oh, I'm going to sell a couple houses and take nicer vacations. And I'm not trying to work 40 hours a week. I had four kids, like my husband was in
Hmm.
America. Um, he has an MBA. Clearly, he should be like the primary provider, right? I mean, comparatively, I got nothing.
Right,
And but you start running some of these numbers, and I think the average US female makes about $56,000 a year. And so to be bringing home less than $50,000 a year when you're selling $1 million real estate, that math is not mathing for me.
right. And
Yeah.
it wasn't for me either. Um, so that's when I knew I had to make the change. But
But
I think,
also, I will say this. I think one thing that doesn't get mentioned enough is that you did get an invaluable education working
yes,
with that agent, and I would pay that again and again. I mean,
agreed,
right? Because
agreed,
really part
100%.
part of
Yep.
the launch pad.
Yeah, exactly. And it is the cost to entry, right? If you want to be good, like it I shouldn't say it. If you want to be great, it's going to cost you money, right? Whether you're paying for a mastermind and you're paying a coach, whoever you're paying, right? Like you're going to be paying somebody. Might as well be I the lessons I learned from her, like my husband will still go, what does she think, Sarah? What would she do? You know, like that's constantly in my brain and it was worth every penny,
I'm
honestly.
literally Googling right now, like how much does it cost? Okay, so like an MBA, to go get your MBA in the US is about 60 grand,
Yeah.
right? And let's say that you left 60 grand on the table, right? So to speak, inside those 2 years, because you were with that brokerage for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it costs to go get an MBA. And
Hmm.
I would say you got an MBA education, but like you don't stay in MBA school for forever. And
Right.
sometimes agents stay in MBA school for forever. And
Mhm.
you're like, at some point, take ownership. So, what gave you the confidence to take ownership of your own business?
Um, I think really understanding that like I'm trying to think of when the pivot point was. Like I was so excited to join Powerhouse, like unbelievably excited. But the we wanted to do it in a way where we came over as individual agents and my mentor was my sponsor so that any transactions that I made, like she made deals off, like she made money off of, which fine as she should. So I was like chomping at the bit. So by the time August came around, I was like ready. I was like in it. Um, and I think a lot of it comes down to, by that time I'm like entering into year three and, um, I'd put in the grind, I'd put in the work, I've done the open houses, I've done all the things, and then I kind of realized what I liked and what I didn't. Um, and then I just went all in and I started um, not being afraid to tell people that I was a realtor, number one. Because like as a new baby realtor, you're like, people think I'm a car salesman, like, but it's, if you're good, like let's change the reputation, right? Like let's change what people's definition is. Um, and so I started voicing it. I started talking about it. Um, and I started putting myself out there, I think, in ways just um, that it's I think it's like a confidence issue more than anything. Like I'm walking through life going, I can do this. Like I see it already. So whether you call that manifestation, whether you call that like God working with you or the universe, whatever, like I knew I could get there and I knew that I had the support system in place and that I didn't have to do everything by myself. And when I kind of let go of realizing like I am super mom without still having to do all the things, it kind of opened up these business doors for me in a way that it's still coming true today, like in 2026, right? Like you kind of like riding the wave, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that really answers the question, but
No, I mean, I think that's one of the things that a lot of agents struggle with is I think agents oftentimes like, well, I need a new strategy or I need a new system or I need a new whatever. And I'm like, you really need a new room. Because
hmm
one of the things, and you've been really fun to watch inside of Powerhouse, and because I think sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to move my license to Powerhouse, and they're going to tell me what to do. And I think one of the things that happens inside of Powerhouse is no one really tells anyone what
no.
to do. And like, what's been your experience with that? Because I think that surprises agents. And I sometimes will tell agents before they're coming over, like, hey, listen, I I'm going to purposely not tell you what to do because I kind of want to see what you think you should do because that's the new idea.
hmm Yeah, nobody told me what to do. I was a sponge. I came in and just listened. Um, I honestly like the first few meetings are probably a blur to me, like because there's just so much information happening. But what I can tell you is that I learned my value really fast. I have another baby human now. She's going to be two in like 5 days, and um, I learned what my value was. And I think that's also part of it. When you project that you are worth a certain amount to somebody, you become a commodity that somebody wants to work with and your time is no longer wasted by stupid Zillow buyers. Do you know what I mean? Like, right? Like I started to value my time and my family as honestly as more important than real estate because it is.
Yeah.
And then business came because I was like, "Oh, wait, I have an appointment," when really the appointment was a play date at the park with my kid.
Yes. That was one of the biggest hacks I learned of like, I think, I mean, because I started in 2017, 2018-ish, something like that. And I think after 2020, you could say like, oh, I'm home with my kids. But prior to that, you had to act like you didn't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's stories in Powerhouse where agents that have told me that they hid pregnancies from their brokers. And I was like, what are you talking about? Is it like 19?
Wild.
You know what I mean? Like,
So wild.
that's wild. But
Yeah.
understand because it's this idea inside of real estate that agents project like, oh, I'm available 24/7 all day, every
Mhm.
day. We can talk at midnight, we can talk at 5 a.m. I will, whatever. And I'm thinking,
Right.
Are you an ER doctor? Are you like saving?
Right.
I mean,
We
like
we are not saving lives. Like
and don't get me wrong, I have 1000% interrupted a vacation, interrupted a dinner, taken a late
Mhm.
phone call when the situation needs it.
Yeah,
But most of the time, we're talking about an earnest money deposit.
right.
We're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I think to your point, when I started valuing my time, that's when people started valuing, like when I started valuing my time, people started valuing me. You know, when I was the agent that would do every single open house and schlep my baby to it, and I was the agent that would drive, 2 hours down to South County with my baby crying in the car, right, to for buyers just to kind of go, man, I don't love that house, right? Like that was a time waster, and I realized that I can't get time back. So throughout this, last 2 years, 18 months, something like that in Powerhouse, I, another agent and we've kind of like started collaborating and we've really started to narrow down. And my county, though small, like from end to end, I don't know, because of traffic, it could probably take 2 hours, but it's fairly tiny.
Yeah.
Um, I, when I first started, I was like, I have to be the Santa Cruz realtor. But the truth of the matter is, we have mountains, we have ocean, we have agriculture. Those are three very different homes. They're different socioeconomic status, everything. And I don't live at the ocean. It takes 25 minutes to get there, so I go there every single day, but I don't live there. I don't live in ag. I don't live in the strawberry fields, right? Like I live in the mountains. So that's what I know. That's what I'm selling. And so I narrowed down in the last year into being just in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And I've gotten more business and my Instagram has taken off because I am niching down. And I was always really afraid to do that. I think we're always really afraid to be like, we're going to lose business. We're going to lose business. When really, when you become the, I hate to say this, like the mayor of your town, when you actually be the go-to person,
Yeah.
business booms.
And what was like your aha moment inside of Powerhouse?
I think for me, it was watching others do it. Like, I always look to Jancy. She's like
The goat.
she's just the best. Like, all of it. There's like no words to describe her. I mean, she's fantastic, but she really just kind of narrows in on a specific group of people, right? And she's phenomenal at it. And then you have like Whitney. She's in Is she in Spokane or is she in Tacoma? She's in Tacoma.
Yeah.
And she's narrowing in on a specific group of people. And so I'm watching all these powerhouse, Julie, right? Multi-gen living, specific group of people. And when you watch all of these people do the same thing, you finally have to go, oh, it's working. Like, like there you have no choice but to say, oh, it's working.
Yeah.
Um, and and then something that I decided I just kind of like fell into, and I think it was just kind of like watching other powerhouse people do this. But something that I kind of fell into that now has served me well is um living where you sell, not just selling where you sell.
Yeah.
And that is and like whether that was an idea that came from Powerhouse or it's just the idea like my brain is starting to work in a different way because of Powerhouse. And I think that's probably more what it is. Like Powerhouse has allowed me to kind of tap into this more creative lead generation side that still allows me to be who I am and be a mom.
Well, that goes back to this idea of not telling agents, quote unquote, what to do, but
Yeah.
instead putting them, like planting them in fertile ground to
Yeah.
see what grows, right? Because every agent's like you said, you mentioned Jancy, Whitney, and Julie, and all three of them have fairly different businesses, fairly different lead gen sources, but they've all grown in the same room, right?
Hmm.
It's this thing of I kind of try to say this like our goal is to help agents be the CEO of their own business. And if you're going to be the CEO of your own business, then you have to take ownership of the decisions that happen inside of your business. And so
Hmm.
I think the magic inside of Powerhouse is someone oftentimes, and you've been great inside these conversations. Like I literally have a screenshot of your numbers. I can see it like all of a sudden it just is like in the bottom of my computer screen here. Because you ran numbers and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like from 4 million to 12 million is wild. But so much of that was because you took ownership of your business, you
Right.
took ownership of making the decisions, you took the risk, you did all of those things. And I think, you know, that's the real magic.
Hmm.
It's yours.
Yeah. And I think too, like, so one of the sales that I had last year, um, was so I like I said, I live in the mountains. Our properties are quirky, very quirky. And one of the sales I had last year, there were 87 stairs to the top, to the front door from the street. And house was adorable. You walk in, all you see is redwood trees. Like it's phenomenal, but you have to get to the top first, right? And most agents would just show you the house, right? And then let the buyers be surprised when they get there and go, "Oh, I have to climb Mount Everest," right?
Yeah.
Um, I was like, I'm not doing that. But to the point of Powerhouse is that there's another agent named Morgan. She's in Davis, and she's become my business bestie, and we talk all the time. And
Organize.
yes, and she is incredible when it comes to listing videos. Her brain works differently and it's so creative and it made me think differently. And so I was like, when I'm making this listing video and shooting these photos, we're showing the stairs. We're doing the thing because I don't want the buyers that I want to show up are the buyers that already know about those and
Yeah.
don't and doesn't matter, But had I not known Morgan, I probably would have fallen into the same trap as every other agent, and then the house would have sat for a year.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened to the next door house. It just sat and sat and sat because buyers finally got there and went, can't do this.
Yeah. They're underwhelmed.
Right. And so I got those ideas because of Powerhouse, because I know Morgan, right? And so I remember texting her and what would you do? What would you do?
I want to know what you ended up doing because I feel like I feel like the stairs would go viral. Like people are
Yeah,
like,
it
oh my
it
God,
did.
house is
I
wild.
got so many comments from other realtors in the area going, "Oh my gosh, Sarah, that was a beautiful way to market that house." What I did, I can send you the video offline. It's very fun. I did this like pan, but I had the house talking to you, like because the street was named Lenore, and I was like, "Oh, that feels like a woman's name." So I had the house talking and say like, "Hi, I'm Lenore. Like I have a lot of stairs to the top, but once you get up here, I'm absolutely worth it." And it like panned the stairs, so like everybody knew that there was no secret, that you were going to be phenomenally in shape if you bought this home. Like,
But also, it's one of those things where this is brilliant marketing because it shifts the perception of the stairs to say, like, yeah, there's a lot of stairs to the top, but it's worth it. Because as a
Mhm.
buyer, I'm coming in like, oh, there's a lot of stairs. There's a view. There's something at the
There's
top.
something at the top that's worth it. Exactly right. Yeah. And
Brilliant.
it's those kinds of things that make Powerhouse invaluable to me. Like I'm in a contract on a house right now that's a character house. And um and there's another agent within Powerhouse, and all she does is character houses. So I talked to her and I said, I need your help. And she was like, do this. I was like, the house has a name. She's like, keep the name. That's the most important part.
Mitchell.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. She's phenomenal. And so I like it's
yeah.
being able to lean on other agents. This idea of no gatekeeping, it really is wild to me, because we have local brokers who are like, we don't gatekeep. I'm like, BS. Of course you do.
Too, because Sarah,
Yes.
and I were in the same market. You know what I mean? Where it's like you're at a local brokerage and they want their top agent to teach other agents. As the top agent, you can't pay me enough to do that.
Right. Exactly right. I see these top agents in local brokers around who are becoming like coaches and things, and there's always a disclaimer at the bottom that says not available to my market. Like
Obviously, because it doesn't make any financial sense. We never say that quiet part out loud. And I'm like, whereas I think
right.
inside of Powerhouse, because we're located all over the place, and I think the mindset is different because there's agents that are in my local market, but I'm like, I also live in Phoenix, Arizona. Like the market size is huge, right? It's not
Mhm.
like I'm in some little corner, but it's like this ability to share each other's properties and to help each other and to like have this camaraderie is invaluable. It's
It really
invaluable.
is. It really is. And like there's an agent here in town who's considering joining Powerhouse. She did the Powerhouse try on and all that. And she's at the ocean. She's different than I am. So like so even then there's zero competition there because at the end of the day something I had to realize too that I think being in Powerhouse helped me with this with my confidence level is that like if you and I were in the same market, we wouldn't be working with the same people because the people that you
Really?
attract
Yeah.
wouldn't like me and vice versa.
Yeah.
There
100%.
is enough business to go around and your people will find you.
Yes.
They just will. And you don't have to worry about it. Like I, so a couple months ago, some clients called me and they said, "Hey, we're thinking about selling our house. These people tried to sell like 3 years ago, didn't use me. Like they called me in and like strung me along and I was like new baby agent and then got like really upset when they didn't use me and it was fine.
We've all
Then they called me like 2 months ago, and I was like, if they use me, fine, whatever. I don't really care. They're not using me. They told me yesterday, fine. So this is like round number two where I've been like
denied.
passed over, right? But they picked somebody from a market that's 3 hours away. So I'm like, well, good luck to you. Like, not
What?
gonna happen. But yeah, they're not. Yeah. But the point of that is I was talking to my husband, he was like, Sarah, you wouldn't want to work with them anyway. Like you've seen their track record. And he was like, if they offered it to you, I would have probably counseled you to say no, don't do it. It's like money comes and goes,
Oh yeah. Like,
you
and we
know?
talk about that a lot in powerhouses. It's like it's got to be a good fit for me as much as it needs to be a good fit for the clients.
Absolutely. And I think that's something, again, right? It's just valuing your time and valuing who you are. Because if it's stressful for you, it's going to be stressful for them.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Sarah Wagner, you are such a gift inside of Powerhouse, and it's been so fun watching you build over the last 18 months, 2 years. If her story sounds familiar, that's because it is. And a lot of female solos kind of go through these leaps. And this is what happens inside of Powerhouse. If you're a solo female agent doing 3 to 5 million in production, and you've been wondering if there is a better way to build, there is. Come and find out what the Powerhouse effect feels like for you. There are links below. Send me the link to that listing video. I will put it inside the show notes so everyone can go and watch it. If this episode hit home, share it with one agent who needs to hear it. That's how we grow this community. I'm Amy Gregory, and this is the Powerhouse Effect.